What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Mateo Family Vibes. And in this video, guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about one of the major reasons why we decided to live in Manila compared to other cities. The Philippines obviously is a very big country. There's over 7,000 islands here that you can live on. So why choose specifically Manila? Well, I can tell you that one of the major reasons for me was the fact of medical. Now, medical here is very important because obviously I wanted to make sure that I was able to basically provide myself a healthier life and healthier lifestyle. Well, in order to do that, right, you need to see doctors and get tests and all that kind of stuff done. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to hospitals, there's really two types of hospitals that are here in Philippines. There's public and there's private. Okay. Now there's a huge difference in the two, unfortunately. So we're going to be primarily, if you're a foreigner and you're coming here, you're very likely going to want to go to a private hospital. Essentially, the services are better, and most importantly, the equipment that the private hospitals have is more advanced than the public ones, unfortunately. But especially for me specifically, you know, I'm not a small guy, right? I'm a pretty decent sized guy here. So a lot of the hospitals, even the private ones that are out in different cities or whatever, may not have the equipment big enough that I could actually fit in. And so for that reason right there is very important, because if you need a test done and I'm living out in a different city and I go to the private hospital, but their machine there isn't big enough because obviously they're not used to having people my size there. Well, that's a problem, right? For me specifically, because I can't get the test done and then I can't get the care that I want to get, whether it be a surgery or a test to evaluate something or whatever the case may be. But those things are always very important to me, and it was definitely a major factor into why I wanted to live specifically in Manila. Now, there are a lot of different private hospitals that you can have access to, and they're all going to be, I'm pretty sure, very good hospitals to go to. But there are two hospitals specifically that are here in Metro Manila, and essentially that's St. Luke's and Makati Medical Center. Now, those two hospitals specifically, I know, have essentially equipment that I'm able to actually fit on, compared to other hospitals that may not have that equipment available for me. And again, it's nothing against the hospitals that don't have it. I understand it's not their fault. It's my own fault for being so big anyways, to begin with. But regardless, if you're a bigger person and you're coming to live in the Philippines, it is something to consider for sure. And again, it's one of the major reasons why we live here in Manila. And that's just because, we're getting medical treatments and I'm seeing doctors all the time to make sure that I can get my health back to where it should be. And it's a process that takes time, of course, like anything does. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so, losing weight and getting to a better health, getting myself healthier is not going to be an overnight success story. It's going to take time and a lot of effort, which I know, and it's okay. I'm okay with that. But yeah, so that's really one of the major things that you need to understand and be prepared of is if you're a bigger guy, be prepared to, if you're staying out in different cities, especially out in the provinces, they might not have things that, that are able to help you help diagnose you. An example of that, I went to a private hospital here, actually where my daughter was born, and there was a couple tests that I wanted to do, but the machine, the MRI machine or the CT scan machine, was just for like regular people, right? Regular people would fit in it, but I wouldn't fit in it. It wasn't wide enough for my shoulders to fit in it. So I had to go to a more updated hospital, which was Makati Medical Center or St. Luke's, and so I just chose St. Luke's because it's in BGC, and so I ended up having all my tests done there, which ran through just fine, no issues. They had all the equipment and everything like that, so it wasn't any kind of concerns or anything like that. So granted, when you go to a hospital like St. Luke's, it's definitely a little bit more expensive to get the same test. I would say that compared to the hospital where I was before, trying to get the test and getting it done at St. Luke's, the price difference is around 5,000 pesos or about 100 USD difference. So keep that into consideration as well. Obviously, being kind of like one of the two most up-to-date modern hospitals comes unfortunately with a little bit of an extra cost, but the good thing is that even that extra cost is still affordable. That's the whole point, is that it's still affordable to me or to most Western foreigners that come here, even without insurance. And so that's the thing, like even if you don't have insurance, the cost is still cheaper than paying out of pocket in the US. So an example of this would be, I had a surgery done here, done at St. Luke's, and that surgery ran about 450,000 pesos to have that surgery, everything covered. That same surgery in the US would have cost over 1 million pesos. And I'll put the conversion rates up here so you know how much it is USD. But well over 1 million pesos would have cost me in the US to have that same surgery. And that's just to have the surgery at a regular hospital. It's not a private hospital, not a fancy hospital, nothing. It's literally just a regular old hospital anywhere in the US. If I would have had it like let's say a top hospital in the US or something of that nature, then it would have been even more, probably 3 times as more than it is here. So that's one of the main benefits here, honestly, is the fact that, it'll be, a little bit more pricier, but in the bigger picture of it all, when you really, compare the US and the Philippines in the form of cost without insurance, you're going to pay way less here than you would in the US. So please keep that in mind if you are planning on moving over here. Is hospitals. Hospitals plays a huge factor, or should play a huge factor in deciding where you actually live here in the Philippines. So don't underestimate what that kind of experience is going to be for you. Now, another thing to consider is the fact that the major cities in the Philippines, and I'm talking about probably 5 or 6 major cities in the Philippines, are going to have very good updated hospitals that are going to be just fine for most of you guys anyways. I'm specifically talking about people that were more heavier, right, that are not like regular skinny people, just regular heavier people. But if you're going to think about if you're thinking about living in different cities in the Philippines, some of the top hospitals in the whole country are in these cities. So we're talking about Davao City has Davao Doctors Hospital. That's pretty much the best private hospital you can get out in Davao City. Iloilo has the Medical City out there in Iloilo. Again, private hospital, probably the best private hospital in Iloilo. There's also St. Paul's Hospital in Iloilo as well. That's also a very good private hospital. If you're in Baguio City, you're going to be looking at probably Notre Dame Hospital in Baguio City as probably the best private hospital out there. If you're looking at Angeles City, so you're going to be looking at the Medical City, again, out there in Clark. You'll also be looking at Riverside Medical Center. That's in Bacolod City, that you'll have access to. So Cebu also has some pretty good, excellent hospitals as well. So those major cities are essentially the, I think that are probably gonna have the best possible, most up-to-date hospitals. And then of course you have here in Manila. There's several hospitals here in Manila as well. So something that you would definitely have to take into consideration and just be aware of if you plan on staying here in the Philippines. Because if you don't have a plan for medical emergencies, which are going to happen no matter what, you need to have it planned out, because without a plan, you're going to be kind of stuck and probably not a very good place. So make sure that obviously you have money set aside for emergencies to begin with. If you are able to get medical insurance here, you can get medical insurance here. If you want me to make a video about that, there's a whole video I can make about just medical insurance for foreigners here when you come to the Philippines, especially if you're going to stay here. But these are all things that I think you should definitely consider, something to consider if you're going to live here full time in the Philippines, is hospitals. Because God forbid something happens and you end up going to the wrong hospital, where you could potentially wait for a very long time to get treated just because there's a lot of people. I mean, that typically happens a lot in public hospitals. You just don't want to be in that situation. You want to have some kind of a plan in place of hospitals that you would be okay going to. And most importantly, money. You need money, right? You need to have some kind of emergency plan in place, an emergency fund in place, so that way, whether it's you or your partner that you're here with, girlfriend, wife, whatever, can access immediately, so you can, obviously get treated. Because another thing that you have to consider as well is, here in the Philippines, like, most of the time you're gonna have to pay something up front as like a down payment. This is not like America, where you can just walk in and then they'll kind of bill you later or something like that. It ain't like that here. You can't leave the hospital until that bill is fully paid. So you definitely need to plan ahead if you intend on living here, because you cannot leave the hospital until that bill is paid. So make sure you have an emergency fund. Most importantly, make sure that whoever's with you, a partner, girlfriend, wife, has access to that money, so that she could go ahead and make the payments or make the down payment or whatever the case may be. Because you do not want to be in a situation where nobody has access to the money and then you're like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Because the hospital wants to be paid in order for you to get services. So a lot of things to consider, guys, when moving over here. So please, as I said before in the previous videos, don't blindly come over here and just move. Make sure that you have a plan in place for everything. Honestly, for everything, especially medical. I would say at least have, 50,000 pesos in an emergency fund that's readily accessible to you, that you can essentially, have access to immediately, whether that be in a savings account or in cash in a safe in your apartment or whatever, or in Gcash or whatever the case may be. But just make sure that it's readily available immediately, because to get ambulances and things like that, it costs money and they need to be paid right away. It's not like America, where you just have to, you get billed for it later or whatever the case may be. It is not like that here. So some may look at it as a downside, others may look at it as a good thing. So I kind of personally look at it as possibly a good thing in the sense that you don't have to worry about, getting billed later. You basically, make sure that your bill is fully paid before you actually leave the hospital. So I think that, to me, is a plus, because you don't have to worry about later how much the bill is going to be. If you live in America, you know what I'm talking about, where you go to a hospital, you get service or whatever, you get an x-ray, you get checked up, and then you go home, and then you get a bill 2 weeks later, and the bill's like $10,000, and you're like, wait a second, what is it 10,000 for? Like I was there for 5 hours and I spoke to a doctor for 15 minutes and got one x-ray. Like, how is that 10 grand? So it's, when you look at it from that point of view, I think that's a huge plus, to take care of the bill up front before you leave, so that way that chapter of your life is done and over with, and you don't have to kind of remember it 2 weeks later when the bill comes in the mail, and you're kind of wondering, okay, how is this $10,000 or $20,000, whatever your bill is, and especially if you have insurance in America, that a lot of times the insurance company denies a lot of stuff. Just look up, if you're in the Philippines here, just look up United Healthcare in the States, and you could see a rampant, just complete madness with that company, and paying out and things of that nature. So don't be shocked or surprised, by that. That's why, for me personally, I think insurance in America is a scam. And here in the Philippines, you can pay in cash, but you'll get actual, real rates, not some astronomical number, like you do in America. So here, yeah, you pay for it cash, you pay for it up front, but you're getting, what I think is decent prices, and affordable prices, which is the most important thing. So, guys, I hope that this video was helpful. Hope it brought you some insights. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever thought about, different cities and the actual hospital kind of experience that you would have here in the Philippines? Or if you live here already, if you're an expat that live here in the Philippines, let me know, what is the hospital experience, what city, wherever you're living at. I'm kind of curious about places like Dumaguete, and Bacol, and cities like that. What is the hospital experience over there, and are they more affordable? Are they better equipped than, let's say, like a St. Luke's or Makati Medical Center? Let me know in the comments below, and until the next video, guys, peace, stay blessed.